Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, we're going to explore the 4-4-2 formation in the FM26 beta. And let's get started with an overview. I've always had a soft spot for the 4-4-2 formation, so I thought it was time to try it out in the beta. Like usual, there were some tactical ideas I had going into the match. Unlike the last two beta tactics, this tactic will have similar in possession and out of possession shapes. The 4-4-2 is a potential formation I'd like to use for my long-term save in FM26, so I want to start exploring some potential ideas. Also, like the last video, this will be a combination of looking at the new player roles while also trying to make a cohesive tactic. So I'm not putting roles in just for the sake of it, I'll look to make something that makes some sort of sense. And finally, results and play are important, so I want to write down what's working and what's not working with this one. Our club for today is Kyoto, in the top division of Japan. This was a club I used in one of my very first videos here on the channel, so it'll be fun to go back to them. We'll start by breaking down the in-possession shape. Our formation is the standard 4-4-2, 2 banks of 4 and 2 strikers. For those strikers, I went with a deep lying forward because Taishi Hara was the star of my deep lying forward video, so I had to use him in the role in this one. The other striker is the channel forward. It's a striker that's going to stay in the center, but when the ball goes out to his side, he'll turn into almost like a winger. In the midfield, I'm using the midfield playmaker and the channel midfielder, which is a role I imagine plays out like the Metsala in old FMs. On the flanks, I'm using the inside winger and the standard winger. The two center backs I'm using are the no-nonsense center back and the ball-playing center back. In the two fullback spots, I'm using the wingback and inside wingback. Importantly, the inside wingback will be our anchor, so to speak, in the midfield, since we have some attack-focused ones already in the center midfield. For out of possession, I'm using a 4-4-2, but with 2 defensive midfielders. This will offer a little more protection, or so I thought. The 2 strikers are the splitting outlet center forward and the tracking center forward. Basically, one striker will stay high for counter opportunities, and the tracking striker drops to help defend. And this is the same idea for the 2 flanks, but flipped. The tracking wide midfielder drops, and the wide outlet wide midfielder stays high. I put them on opposite sides of the strikers so that both sides have someone dropping and someone staying high. The 2 defensive midfielders are the dropping defensive midfielder and the screening midfielder. One DM will drop and become a center back when the opponent nears the goal, and the screening DM will hold his position in front of the center backs. And the back 4 are simple fullbacks and center backs. Here are the 2 formations heading into the match. There are no team instructions for either of them. Let's head to the next section and check out some highlights from the first half. We start our first clip with the opponent on the ball, and it gives us a look at our defensive shape. The biggest issue I had in this match was the positioning of the screening defensive midfielder. The role just sits super high at times, almost like a central midfielder. Their number 10 has acres of space when we should have a DM position there. We're able to stop him this time, but it was a big problem during the match. The dropping defensive midfielder drops into the defensive back line to help stop the cross. And as a side note, I think it's funny that I'm asking my number 10 to drop and play as a center back. Good times. Anyway, it also shows the difference between the tracking midfielder and the outlet midfielder, and how it affects their positioning. We're able to get a chance off of the counterattack. We're going to watch it back, but we're going to watch it back in 3D, starting from the beginning of the play. The next highlight starts with us on the ball building out from the back. It'll give us some nice interchange between the deep lying forward, winger, and channel midfielder, a common theme throughout the first half. Another thing to note is the positioning of the midfield playmaker. Reminds me a lot of the deep lying playmaker from older games, sitting back and won't get too far forward. Nothing comes of the play, but still good early signs from our attack. Here's the play again in 3D. Alright, here, the opponent has a goal kick. We get the free ball and start our possession. Now I mentioned it in our first video on the FM26 beta, but I swear they did something with the positioning of the winger and how deep they sit. This is the wingback on the other side for comparison. Anyway, the channel midfielder helps orchestrate our attack, and the role is giving me definite Metsala vibes from their play. Seems they have an attack focus hard-coded into the role. This passage of play leads to our goal. Like the others, here it is in full in 3D. Our last clip will look at just the 2D version, but it will show the issues I've been alluding to in this video. They had scored a goal already at this point, but I thought this sequence was much more indicative of the problem. The opponent's center back is on the ball, and remember this is the screening defensive midfielder. As a DM, he's sitting super high up the field, giving all kinds of space to their number 10. They start their possession, but I'll pause it here real quick. Look at my DM and how high he is. Basically leaves their player unmarked. They still pass it around, but eventually it gets to their number 10. We give up a couple of high quality chances that should have been a goal. Since we only looked at the first half, here are the first half stats. Overall, pretty even, I'd say. Like the other tactics we've looked at, there were some positive signs and some not so positive signs. I'd be curious if I could work on that DM role by maybe having him mark specifically a player to get him to drop deep a little more. But that will be an experiment for another day. And with these videos, I've been experimenting with different attacking formations to see how the match engine is playing out, and I think this attacking shape has been my favorite. Some really good passing and good synergy between the different player roles, especially on that side with the deep lying forward. Regardless, I think the next handful of videos will be like this one, where we're exploring some different tactical ideas. If you'd like some player role shirts or maybe a digital FM planner, you can check out the Half Space Apparel online store. I've also got a Patreon account if you'd like to support the channel. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.